Okay, so an amortization table. You ready, guys? You ready? Okay. Amortization table, the way it goes, maybe on your study sheet, you need to have that this, to get this number, if it's ever empty, right, you go, first of all, I call this payment. I call that lowercase I call this principal, I call this unpaid balance. So if you want this one to get your payment, you basically just go I plus P. Yeah, you add up these two to get that one. Okay. To get the interest, if it's blank, right? To get the interest, you go payment minus the principal. So these two, if you subtract, okay, you get your interest. At the same time, if you want this one, if you want the principal, again, you take your payment, you subtract the interest from it to get that one. Okay? And then here, let's take those out, please. And this one, you just subtract, right? So what is this going to be? 622.2 minus 125. This is 497.20. And then you take the 497.20 and just subtract it. And this is 19,502.80. Okay. I just want to say something. This is the reason that the amortization table is the reason why you can't just say how much interest did you pay on this loan. Just take the first month and just multiply it by, let's say, 36 if it's 3 years. Because it changes, right? Sorry, the interest here. The interest changes, the principal changes. Next, you take away the 531. That is 19,002.49. Right, so I keep it here. If you have your payment and the principal, you subtract these two. And you get 121.89, which should happen, right? The principal should, or the interest should drop a little bit every month. Next, how do you do one like this? Blank, blank. You can't do anything here, so you got to go to these two numbers. You know that when you have this number, you subtract it from it to get that. So if you just subtract these two, okay, you get that answer. So you get 503, right? So that gives you 503.43. So you know that it dropped by that much. Therefore, that must have been the principal there. Once you have that, subtract it from this. Let me just do that real quick. You get 118.77. Okay. So I will say this, each row gets a mark. So basically every cell gets half a mark, if you want to put it that way. Lydia is about to sign her loan agreement, which states that the car payment is $650 over 4 years. The interest rate is $425 per year. That's what per annum means. She would like to reduce her payment in order to save some money. State two things Lydia could do in order to reduce her monthly payment. I was actually very happy with your responses for the most part. You can say she could shop for a lower interest rate. You can say that. And this is to reduce the monthly payment, right? You can increase the term to 5 years. Okay, if you do that, your payments will get decrease. You can also increase the down payment. Okay. There's a bunch of things you can do for you to do that. Okay. Ranveer delivers pizza and would like to buy another vehicle. State one advantage and one disadvantage of purchasing a new vehicle. The advantage, you can say lower maintenance costs, and that's because it is under warranty, right? So try to be specific. That's one more thing that some of you will have lost some marks if you're not specific enough. Disadvantage, don't just say cheaper. Oh, sorry. A new vehicle, that wouldn't be cheaper. But you would say disadvantage is higher insurance costs. Right? You could say that. Higher insurance costs, you pay for freight, you pay for AC tax, tire tax, all of that stuff. Higher depreciation costs, anything like that would give you the marks there, okay? But don't say too expensive. That is not good enough, okay? Here we go. Michael wants to buy a used vehicle through a private sale. Okay, so we're buying privately and need some repairs. The price of the car is $15,000, the book value $21,000. There's a $40 inspection also done. Fill in the cells to determine the total cost after tax. You know what? This is my bad. I did not mean to turn this into a private sale and parts and labor, to be honest. If you did it, good. For me right now, I'm just going to zoom into you being able to fill in one of these. So engine tune-up is just $300. 4 tires times 250. 4 times 250, that's 1,000, right? 6.5 liters of oil times 22. You just take 6.5 times the price, that's 143 bucks. 1.5 hours times 125, so you go 1.5 times that. That's 187.50. Make sure you go 50, like the province would want. Every cell, if you're filling it in, they should all have a dollar sign and should be rounded accordingly, okay? Subtotal, you add up everything up. So I'll just take this number and I'll add 143, I'll add 1,300. So your subtotal is this, $16.30 and 50 cents. And here's where it gets a little tricky, okay? If you, to get the GST, that's only 5%. So you need to take the 16.30, 50, and multiply it by 0.05. You just want to know how much of this money is going to be GST. So you multiply by 0.05, and you get 81.53. Okay. There may or may not be a question like this on the test. What did I say? What? Anyways, 16.30 and 50 cents times RST is 7%. So you got to go 0.07 there. That's 114 and 14 cents. You're basically setting up a bill, right? An invoice for someone. And now you want to add the subtotal and the taxes to get your total. So it's 1630.50 plus 81.53 plus 114.14, and that's 18.26 and 17 cents. Okay. That is how you do a question like this. And if you're wondering, Mr. Erickson, I did this part, what's going on with that? Yeah. Well, I'm just going to do it so you can check. So because it's a private sale, I take the $15,000 for the car. The book value is higher. Some of you missed that on the quiz. Some of you thought it has to always be the book value no matter what, and that's not true. Okay. So you tax that 7% because it's higher. There's a safety. There's no lien search, but there's parts and labor. If you use, watch this, if you use this number, please do not tax that again. It's already taxed, okay? So if you use this number, watch my formula. Don't be taking parts and labor times 1.12, because that is double taxing, right? So 15,000 plus, give me 1 second here. That's 1470. that is 42, and 18, 26, 17. So if you wanted to do the whole thing with parts and labor, give me one moment. That's 18,338 and 17 cents. Okay. That is your grand total if you did that. Okay, but I honestly, this is my bad. This is what happens when you copy paste too much. I just wanted this table in there and I forgot to take out some of the stuff from that word problem. Just make sure you know how to do a table. I was trying to look where there's one like that in your booklet. If you go back to the front, I'm going to find it and tell you. Okay, so this is it. So what about marks, Mr. Rickson? I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll just give you half a mark for each correct cell. So every cell that is done correctly, you get half a mark for. And of course, if you make a mistake up here, let's say you made a mistake here, obviously it's going to translate to everything else. You only lose the 1/2 mark, and then I would check to see if you did everything else correctly. So keep that in mind. That's it for this AC.